Start our 2D animation, and we're going to do a quick kind of lesson on the 2D animation portion or grease pencil portion of Blender. I've already posted two videos that you guys need to watch, and this is pretty much repeating all that stuff. So, all right, more like a refresher. And then basically today's lesson is preparing the storyboard or blocking your shots for your final 2D project using grease pencil. All right, so right here I'm going to click on 2D animation and one of the presets. Okay, so what's happening now, it's simply again a 2D version of Blender. If I zoom out right here with my camera, and then if I pivot the camera, as you can see, we're actually seeing the camera and all this white canvas in there. Okay, so I'm going to press 0 on the numpad to go back to that camera. All right, so if we're going to do the storyboard, we need to change our timing right here, or our length of the timeline. Okay, so the minimum for your 2D animation project is 10 seconds, maximum is 20 seconds. So when we animate, we're animating in 24 frames per second. Okay, so that is our that's our timing. Okay, so it's 24 frames per second. So or to be technical, it's 2398 if we're doing video. We're not transferring it to film. But anyway, so 10 seconds times 24, that's 240 frames if you're just going the minimum. All right, so right here at the bottom, you can see the start and end frame. So it defaults at 250. So if I change that to 240, okay, and then right here, okay, this will be the highlighted one, at least, is the length that you will be working on. Okay, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you can always overwrite what frames you're going to render, but this is just to kind of give you kind of like an overview of how long or where you are in position to the timeline when you're animating. Okay, we always set the start and end time, but you're always kind of zoomed in here. So the way you navigate in Blender, it still works the same way here. So if you scroll with your mouse, okay, you can zoom in and out in the timeline. You can also shift and middle click drag to pan. So it still kind of works the same way. All right, and you can also grab this horizontal bar right here to give it a little bit more preference to the timeline if you want to versus your drawing area. Okay, if you're going for, let's say, 20 seconds, then you're going to have to change this one to 480. Basically, you multiply 20 seconds to 24 and you get 480. Okay, and if you can't see right here, you can simply drag, okay, your slider right here, and it kind of shows you your timeline. Okay, so we're just gonna go with 240 here. We're gonna go for the minimum for our demo because we want to kind of drive the point that you still get and understand what we're trying to say, even though we're just doing 10 seconds worth. Okay, so before we start with the storyboard, let's take a look at all the basic stuff here first. Okay, so here we have our draw, okay, and our fill. Basically, that's where you put the solid color per shape, okay, and then our eraser, okay, and then there's tint. All right, so basically, just concentrate on these three first, and our pre-made kind of lines. Okay, so let's say not using any tablet or drawing tablet, and you want precise lines and outline. These are basically what it is. You get square, circle, an arc, straight line, so on and so forth. Okay, so when I use the pen to draw, I'm using a pencil right here, and then we have types of pencil or brush or draw brush. If you click this icon right here to the left of where it says what it is, pencil, okay, you can select the type of brush you want. Okay, all right, so and let's just go with all the defaults first. Okay, again, I'm using a drawing tablet, so I'm going to try and draw the shape right here. Okay, and as you can see, there's a little bit of tapering right here because of the pressure sensitivity. The lighter strokes on the tablet, you get lighter strokes, or if you press hard, you get harder strokes, okay, or more solid, okay. The strength right now it's at 0.6, okay. So again, in order to get that 100%, you're going to have to, multiple strike the same area. Or you can also increase your strength right here, all the way to 1, so that it's always going to be 100%, and then you can control the opacity or pressure sensitivity based on how hard or how soft you draw your lines. Okay? So that's strength right there. Keyboard shortcut for that is Shift and F, as in Frank. Okay? So I can drag my mouse right here, and it changes the strength. Or you can just drag it over here. It's the same thing. The brush size or the radius, you can drag it and then you can make it bigger or smaller. The keyboard shortcut is F, as in Frank, and then you can just drag your mouse. And you can change that to however you whatever it is that you need. So, all right. Again, it's not precise, let's say. How come it's not looking like a pencil when, first of all, you don't have any tip of a pencil this big, not unless you're in construction, I think. But, this is still vector. It just looks like you're painting, but this is all vector. It's a great programming, whatever it is they did in Grease Pencil that allows you to do this. Okay, so outsider, you can change the radius right here. You change the strength, okay? And I'm using, again, a pressure sensitive tablet. And if you don't want to use pressure sensitivity even though you're using a tablet, so let's say you want all your stroke to be solid. You don't want that gradient right there. You can turn this off. If you turn this button off, then it disregards that. Then you're drawing like it's a mouse. You're still getting the pressure sensitivity of the radius though. So if you turn off the one for the radius, then it is basically a mouse now, where no matter what, you can't taper the ends. It's just same thickness all the way, same strength all the way. Okay, so sometimes that can be good, sometimes that's not what you want, and that's what's going to happen. All right, so that would be for stroke. Solid stroke. These are the materials basically that you use. All right, so if you want different color, then you can add to this, or you can manipulate this and change them. These are all in here, so that's why we did the cat in the hat homework, so that you guys will have a like an experience in adding materials. Okay, whatever you add here. So let's say if I add a new one, okay, and then I'm going to click new. I'm going to call this one, let's say, green. It's going to be green and stroke. Okay, very important that you call it what it should be, because right here, if you put a check mark on stroke, then it's for stroke. If you put a check mark on fill, then it's for fill. You can do both, but it'll, probably not recommended yet. Okay, so there's the stroke right there. Then the base color, you simply click the bar right here, go all the way up with your luminance, and then you did set it for green. There it is, and it's for stroke. And basically you get a green color. Okay, and it's right here. So if I want to go back to the black one, simply select it right there, and there it is. Okay, all right, and let's say on this green stroke right here, I changed it from well, that's probably way too bright right there. Keep it down a little bit. You can see it adjusts everything right here. Okay, so it takes over, but there's ways to kind of control which ones get. That's for later. I'm going to simply click and drag this so that it matches my fill color. So if I replace stroke with fill, even though we name it stroke, we're just demoing for fill. All right. So right now, since this is a fill, even though it's a stroke, right? What it is that whatever shape you draw, you get a fill brush in a way. Okay, All right. And then, of course, if you replace that with stroke right there, it will replace it with that. So eventually you will accumulate tons and tons of materials right here. So naming would be super important. Okay. All right. So if you have a Wacom tablet, then I'm pretty sure any drawing tablet that's decent, if you flip it over and you're using the eraser, you would automatically go to eraser mode. No need to actually select the eraser brush. However, let's say you don't have one of those, kind of like, I guess the Apple Pencil. You can't use the Apple Pencil here, but let's say an example for the Apple Pencil where you can't, there's no eraser function on the other end of the pen. You will actually have to select the eraser brush right here. Okay? And you can erase depending on the type of eraser brush. It's very similar to the pencil or the draw brush. You have different types of erasers. Hard, there'll be erase a stroke, which you click one of these and they start disappearing. Okay, you're just erasing the stroke. Okay, so depending on the type of need. So eraser hard right here, you get super hard edge right there. Well, actually, let me go strength, pressure, sensitivity there. So let's increase this one. There we go. It's not what do you call it? Hard per se. You need to increase your radius or decrease your radius for detailing when it comes to this one. There you go. It's almost like smooth though. Take a little bit soft. So soft is just a lot softer. So even erase hard is not super hard. It's just not as sensitive as soft. Okay. All right. Anyway, that would be draw and eraser. So now let's do draw again, and I'm gonna go to solid stroke right here. Okay. And let's say we created a shape, and then we go to our fill brush right here. It's still not going to do you any good if you try to fill here because you actually have to change this material to a fill, solid fill. All right, so solid fill for this one is just gray. So if I change it to that and I click this, you get a solid one right there. So what do you need to do if you want another solid fill that's not gray? Well, right here, you got to create another one. Okay, so let's say for this one, we're going to call it fill. Let's say yellow fill. And then of course here, not a stroke. We're going to check that and then check on fill. Bring your luminance. Go to yellow, more like mustard, but anyway, that's the one. Okay, so if I select that, then that's what we get right there. Okay, so real quick, if I go to my brush, solid stroke, all right, then I go to my fill. You need to change your material, yellow fill. All right, and make sure everything's enclosed. If it's not enclosed, that's what's going to happen. It's going to spill. Okay, so it looks for kind of those enclosed spots right there. Okay, all right, and we're all doing this in one layer, whatever's below would be, so that's why if you're doing fill, you don't want to do it on your line. Okay, so let me click undo here. All right, you want to do it on, let's say, on your fill layer. So when you click that, oops, sorry, start the yellow fill. All right, you see it goes behind the line as opposed to on top because the order of the layer. Okay, and how do you add layer? Same thing as the material. Click plus. There it is. You can name it, and then you can change its position by clicking the up and down arrow if you want it all the way to the top, middle, or bottom. This one turns on onion skinning. That one is visibility, so you can hide it. You can lock it so you don't accidentally draw on top of it. All right, so this will kind of finish our introduction of the very basic ones: draw, fill, erase, and adding materials, stroke versus fill. And then right here on this tab, the green swirl curve is your layer. You can click the plus and minus to get rid or add a new layer. You can turn on onion skinning. Onion skinning is basically when you preview one keyframe, previous or after. Okay, and you can change the hierarchy of your layer by selecting a layer and then clicking the up arrow, bringing it up or bringing it down. You're basically repositioning it. Think of your layer as a stack of paper. The very one on top is what you see on is your foreground, and then the very back is your background. Okay, so we'll have more simple lessons on this one. This is just kind of like a quick overview. So I'm going to end the lesson right here.